Hey folks, so what we have here, this is my buddy Jeff's turbo engine. I mounted it to the test stand, or the run stand, I've mentioned that already before. Everything's hooked up, uh, cooling system, everything's ready to roll. Jeff and I were working, Jeff came over the other day, we were messing around with it some. This is the one that had the cylinder head temperature sensor that was kind of jacked up. We successfully took care of that. It runs, but it has a pretty bad miss on at least 2 of the 6 cylinders. I think it was 5 and 3 or 2 and 5, I can't remember. But anyway, I mean, it was so bad that if you unplug the injector, turn the injector off, it would just have no effect. At idle, okay, that's important, that's a key word there, at idle. We further confirmed that nothing was going on by using a color tune plug. Now, if you're not familiar with a color tune, it's essentially a spark plug that's got a clear glass instead of the white insulator, and allows you to actually see into the combustion chamber. Not well, but enough that you can see what's going on. And in that particular case, with the color tune installed on the dead idle cylinders, it would barely spark at all. I mean, it would barely fire at all. Very light blue, or nothing at all. All you see is just a spark, but no combustion taking place. However, if you throttle the engine up, it would come on and the engine would run smooth, and it's like had any problems at all. But as soon as it dropped back to idle, you get the shakes, and at least, like I said, at least 2 of the 6 cylinders would cut out. Fooling around with it, we unplugged the cylinder head temperature sensor. Immediately, it idled smoother, and it picked up, and everything seemed fine. But of course, if you throttled up with that cylinder head temperature sensor unplugged, which makes the engine run a lot richer, it would just start blowing out black smoke, running super rich, blah blah blah. I mean, clearly, that's not a fix, okay? That's more of a clue, okay? So what we have here is an engine, and then we check the mechanicals. Is it still got good compression? The compression's good. I could hear the injectors clicking with a mechanic stethoscope. One of these things. Put this rail on the injector, you can hear it clicking. It's not likely that the injector suddenly clogged up or went wrong, especially since it would run fine once idled up. So the symptoms were, it only has a misfire and it only does it at idle. Okay? So, what are their clues? Well, generally speaking, idle is going to be the lowest output of the fuel injector, okay? Because it needs the least amount of fuel to mix with the air. I did not replace the intake and exhaust manifold gas because I didn't have one handy, okay? So I said, well, I'll take my chances, I'll just bolt it on. It didn't look that bad, okay, which is never a good way to look at things. Not that bad. So I went ahead and bolted on and used the existing old exhaust. And the manifold gasket on these engines, on these reverse flow engines, is both an intake and an exhaust gasket, same piece of material. So the only thing that makes any sense at all is an air leak somewhere, and or specifically, where would the air leak most likely be? I checked all my normal connections. This intake manifold came completely off the other engine, so it's not like I had something screwed up with the manifold. It's itself, but it's got to be the junction, okay, to whatever I'm putting against the engine. The only junction there is that intake exhaust manifold gasket, where it actually clamps the intake manifold to the head. So my theory is I've got an air leak. Air leaks are notorious for causing poor running at idle because, again, you got so little fuel, a little bit of unmetered air, that is air that's not going through the airflow meter, is going to cause a lean run, and you can run it lean up to the point where it will not combust. That's what I think is going on. How are we going to confirm that? Before I got a new gasket, I'm ready to do it, but I don't like to do things unless I kind of have the confirmation that that's the problem. 99% chance, but why not check it? Use it as a teachable moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to smoke it out. All right, so let me move the camera around. I plugged off the airflow meter with a styrofoam cup. I've installed a smoke blowhole into the, I think that's the brake booster vacuum line. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to try to get a good angle on it so you can find the smoke easily. Let me try to angle this down a little bit. So we're really focusing right in this area here is where I think the smoke is a problem. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Come back up. All right, so essentially we're going to be looking for smoke right in this area. Here's the number 1 area where it starts, and it terminates right about here. Am I still in the frame? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe back off a little bit. Okay, so what we want to do is try to find some smoke. I don't know if the glare from the sun's going to make it better or worse. I do have this thing. Okay, so let's fire up a stogie. My favorite black mild original. How's that for you, huh? So here's my test equipment. Oops. Here's my test equipment we're going to be using. All right. I've got a couple of them in here. I'll do a used one here. Smoke them up. Smoke where you got them, Johnny. All right, here's our smoke generator. Okay, so keep your eyes in that area there, and let's see if we can find some smoke. It is holding pressure, that's good. I see a pretty heavy duty, right around that injector. Definitely right down here. I don't know if that's coming on a camera or not. There's definitely smoke coming out right around that junction. Let me see if I can get a better angle on it here. Oh yeah. I can't see exactly where it's coming out. I'm gonna make sure there's an O-ring in there. There's no reason why it shouldn't be because I didn't pull the injector. There's a ton of leakage there. Oh yeah. You can see if there's any down here. I hope that's showing up on the camera, but that definitely confirms there's a boatload of smoke coming out right from that junction. So I'm going to call this as definitely a manifold gasket issue. So what we're going to do next is I'm pretty sure the easiest way to deal with this is going to be to pull the distributor, get it out of the way. I don't like having these wires around and having the distributor in there. It's just a little bit of a fitment issue. I should be able to unbolt take the fuel lines off, unbolt the intake manifold, I'll try to put it away and put it on a stand, get it out of the way. I'll have to undo the oil line. Okay, for the turbo, because that hooks into everything. So we'll take the turbo line completely off first. We'll undo the fuel lines second. We'll remove the distributor third. We'll unhook the charge pipe from the turbo 4th. We'll unhook the PCV hose from the bottom of the intake manifold that goes back to the crankcase, 5th. Let's see, what else? I think that will give me enough. Then I can loosen the bolts. I'll take the top 4 bolts off the intake manifold, get it out of there, and see if I can't just set it aside and clean up that manifold. I might have to unhook all the electrics again, all the electrical connection, which is no big deal on a turbo. It's really not that much. It's mainly just the injectors. I mean, that's it, really. I could just undo the injectors, pull this cable back, get it out of the way. I'll probably do that just so I don't have to fuss with it too much. And we'll just have to clean that surface up and redo it. The good thing about this particular one is the turbo engine doesn't use studs, it uses bolts. So I don't have to worry about, and I know all the studs, all the bolts will come out because I've already loosened them all, so I know that they're not going to break on me right now. We'll get all the studs out, we'll get all the bolts out, we'll get the manifolds out of the way. I'll stuff some paper towel into the intake and exhaust ports, and then if there's, make sure I don't get any scrapings, if I have to scrape the gasket off. Sometimes they just come off real clean, it's no big deal. But you really want to get a good service there, especially since that seems to be the problem, is a poor surface. So that was my mistake, thinking I could get away with reusing a intake manifold gasket. It is what it is. But we'll get that going, and on the next version, I'll have it all back together and we'll show it running. But anyway, I just wanted to detail one of the things that can cause a misfire when you're idling that seems to go away when you're running. Lean running will do that. And the best way to diagnose that is to, if you suspect a cylinder, you don't have, this is no ODB on this thing at all, right? So you just unplug one fuel injector line at a time, and if it makes no difference to the running of the engine, you've got a dead cylinder. And then, like I said, it's you can start doing your diagnosis. Why do you have a dead cylinder? Once you've eliminated, there's a good spark, there's a good fuel supply, and and mechanicals are good. That pretty much only means it can be a mixture issue, and it's almost always going to be something like a vacuum leak. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope this was informative to somebody. More later. Thanks for watching. Bye.